right, good afternoon and welcome back. We are at our Finance, Audit, and Budget Committee, chaired by myself, Commissioner Ted Terry, joined by committee members Commissioner Michelle Long-Spears and Commissioner Shakira Johnson. Also joining us is Commissioner Nicole Messiah. Committee members, we are going to move around the agenda a little bit so Commissioner Long-Spears can leave a little bit early for a personal matter. So let's just go ahead and take care of the meeting minutes from the last two, and if there's no edits or changes, I'll take a motion for both of those.
Yes, sir. I move to approve item 2025-1430 and 1505.
Second.
All right, motion and second. Seeing no discussion, all in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. All right, let's go first to item 1509. This is to allocate $300,000 to Leadership DeKalb in FY26, FY27, and FY28 to strengthen leadership and management skills among county employees. And Commissioner Long-Spears, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Commissioner Terry. So this item is to provide $100,000 in funding to Leadership DeKalb for fiscal year 26, fiscal year 27, and fiscal year 28. And I did meet or email with TJ about how to proceed with this, and I believe that I did follow your guidance on how to move forward with it. Kind of, sort of, it sounds like?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, feel free to give us some feedback.
Sure.
Yes, good afternoon, Commissioners. I believe I do remember that
I'll
email,
pull it up.
and I think the suggestion was that to style this more as an agreement rather than as a budget item, because we can't really budget for future budget years, but if there's an agreement in place with Leadership DeKalb, then that will be sort of the initiation of us having that within the budget for those 3 years, just like any other sort of contract or agreement we have with other organizations.
All righty. So if we send you over the current item, could you help us work us up a substitute
Sure, that'd be no
to
problem.
continue the discussion at the next FAB meeting?
Yes.
Okay, great. I was trying to find the guidance that you provided, but I trust you, so we might have just slightly misunderstood.
It was Ms. Ganga that had emailed me. But
It was Ms. Ganga, and then she shared your feedback with us. All right. Well, Commissioners, we will work on a substitute based on TJ's recommendation for it to be an agreement for 3 years, starting 2026, and bring that back, Mr. FAB Chair, to the next meeting.
Well, and Commissioner, I do see an agreement in the agenda. So, I mean, would you like the Law Department just to review the agreement that is in the agenda as well, just to confirm that it meets all the standards? I assume it's the same contract we've used with them in the past.
How about this? So it's the agreement for professional services is what we included in there. If you're saying that's inaccurate, TJ, or incorrect, that was not the right document?
Well, my comments were not so much about the attached agreement. It was about the agenda sheet itself, the way that the wording was about the subject to allocate funding for those 3 years. Just to make clear that it wasn't a budget amendment, just because we aren't in those years, so we can't really budget for future years. But if it's an agreement, then we can proceed with next year's budget with that understanding that we entered into this agreement with Leadership DeKalb, and that funding should be included in the 25 budget in 26 and 27, assuming, 26, 27, 28, assuming nothing changes.
If the FAB Chair is amenable and TJ is able to do it on the fly, could we consider a friendly amendment? Because if it's only on the page, the cover sheet, basically, the agenda item page under purpose, I think that we could probably wrap that up right now.
Yeah, it seems like let's talk about just maybe the intent of what we're trying to do here, and then we can get to the technical aspects. Commissioner Shakira Johnson, do you have any comments or thoughts on just the idea of having this agreement with Leadership DeKalb for the next 3 years, obviously styled on the programs they provide?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So my thought is I think it's a good idea and plan to say that we will be continuing to partner with Leadership DeKalb and make it in a more formal way of doing that. I guess my question would be, has legal looked at the agreement? Is this a previous agreement, or just to make sure all that is good and well as the items that TJ is bringing up?
Okay, yeah, let's, County Attorney Linkus, do you just want to reference, would y'all like a couple weeks to just review the agreement? And
Sure,
we can
we
bring it
have-
back to committee?
We have not reviewed it yet, so yeah, a couple of weeks should be fine.
Okay.
All right, so that is acceptable to me. So Chair, may I make a motion?
Yes.
Motion to defer item 2025-1509 for 2 weeks.
Second.
All right, got a motion and a second. I think also the understanding is to come back with a substitute with the agreement approved to form from the law department for those 3 years. Got it. Okay, everyone's nodding their heads. All right, motion and second. All in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. All right. Next item is the walk-on item. This is from this morning. So this is to amend the FY25 budget to establish the Office of Legislative Counsel and authorize the hiring of legislative counsel, and also to amend the budget. And the details are in the packet here. So I'll turn it back over to Commissioner Longspears.
Thank you very much, Chair Terry. So this item is for us to consider hiring or actually establishing the Office of Legislative Counsel and authorizing the hire of legislative counsel. The intention is to strengthen our Board of Commissioners' capacity for informed, legally sound policymaking. And the way that I set this up, which is in the item itself for anybody out there who wants to read it, is the legislative counsel kind of focus areas would be around drafting ordinances, resolutions, and amendments as directed by the board, providing legal analysis of proposed or pending state and federal legislation affecting DeKalb, advise commissioners and staff on matters of statutory interpretation and home rule authority, conduct research as requested and needed by the board, and coordinate with the county attorney's office, BOC central staff, DeKalb administration, legislative delegation, and other relevant stakeholders as needed. What I'm requesting for this fiscal year is a total 2025 amendment of $65,000, and that is specifically for legislative counsel, office setup technology and supplies, and legislative research tools and subscriptions. So that is what I have to present to the committee today. I yield back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Shakira Johnson, any comments or questions?
I do have questions and comments. So I know we had hefty discussion earlier this year about a very similar item. It was my understanding that we decided to work with our current law department and have someone appointed to work with us. So I'm a little curious as to why we're back to that when have we given that enough opportunity to see if it's really working and effective. And so I'm also looking at the salary. So we're anticipating a full year salary to be $180,000.
Yes, ma'am. So let me address your first question. Earlier this year, I negotiated as presiding officer with Madam CEO and also with interim county attorney Matt Welch that we try to work with a lawyer, an attorney of our county attorney's office that would be appointed to be kind of our point person on the commission. We did try that, but my experience with it was that, one, it felt like there were too many cooks in the kitchen, and so I would call the attorney that was appointed to us, and he wasn't as well-versed in Robert's rules, for example. And so he would often then have to call Mr. Welch to get the information. So I feel like we did try, and we gave it a shot. I also think that our county attorneys, they report to both the administration as well as the Board of Commissioners. And I think sometimes there are issues related to confidentiality, having to serve in both capacities and serve both branches of our government. And I believe that having a legislative counsel attorney for us specifically would eliminate that potential conflict as well. And then also with this, and in future years, is I'm suggesting that it actually be an office. So it would be the legislative counsel for the BOC, and then possibly what is it called, Commissioner Messiah?
A paralegal.
Paralegal.
And law clerk, just to ensure that there's
Right.
sufficient support.
And, but I think the first order of business is to hire this legislative council and let he, she, or they set up the office as they see fit. I yield back.
Okay. Commissioner Johnson, you want to?
You can go on, I'm still.
Okay. Yeah, and I'll just state for my part, so I think the sort of the description of this role, I think is, to me, is very complimentary. You see here, it says coordinate with the county attorney's office, BOC central staff, the administration, delegation, other stakeholders. And so to me, this is not duplicative, it's more capacity building. And, I'll give you a good example. Like you got 7 of us up here, and we all have kind of our own ideas and agendas and district concerns. And from any given day or email we receive, sometimes kind of like, well, I need to understand this. I need to know more about this. And usually there's sort of this long line of things that are already pending. And on top of that, obviously, all of the administrative aspects of what the law department does. And so to me, this is in a way kind of just a preliminary step, one, to not inundate the law department with a bunch of things that sometimes are kind of off the cuff or might just require more research or just a discussion to kind of get to where we want to go. Obviously, anything that we approve on the Board of Commissioners should and I think must be approved by the county attorney and the law department to form, to legality, and all the above. The one thing that was interesting, commissioners, in my research is that in the executive commission form of government, there's about, I think it was like 200 counties that are sort of that strong executive legislative branch bifurcation. A lot of those legislative branch have this Office of Legislative Counsel. Sometimes they call it legislative and policy. And so I think to me, it sort of speaks to the fundamental difference that the other 158 counties in Georgia have, right? There's one board, there's a chair, a BOC, the law department clearly reports to the board. But in an executive form of government, it's different, it's bifurcated, and just based on several years of, I guess at this point, almost 25 years of cases going back to the Levitan years, there is a primacy there. So, just based on certain issues, the administration sort of has primacy over the administrative state. And so this really, to me, provides the Board of Commissioners with a very clear delineation on policy matters, but I really see it as capacity-driven and collaborative, as ultimately when we get to the final, sort of steps, the law department, the county attorney's office is very, very involved and should be involved. So with that, I'll open the floor up for any, Commissioner Masai, any questions, comments?
Thank you so much. I do appreciate it, Mr. Chair. Just as an attorney myself and coming on even before I got elected, shared that this is one of the concerns, that I had, that I thought it would be beneficial for the Board of Commissioners to have some independent counsel. As Commissioner Johnson has shared, that was put forth in some regards earlier in the year. It was in collaboration with 2 other positions, as I agreed to co-sponsor it with Commissioner Long-Spears, and we didn't have sufficient support to move forward. Additionally, it was trying to give the administration an opportunity to put forth someone that would be dedicated for the Board of Commissioners. I'll be honest, to the extent there had been someone named from the legal department that was supposed to work with us directly, I am unaware directly who that individual was supposed to be. Like if there was someone that was named specifically to aid us, I don't know who that was. And just, again, as an attorney, myself, just realizing the need, and it's really about information. I mean, that's the catalyst of this and what I've shared on more than one occasion. And we can only do our jobs as knowing and willing to the extent that we have all of the information that's necessary to make informed decisions. And I realized there were instances where we could benefit from having additional information, not to mention, we, along with our executive administration, executive form of government, I know we tax our county attorneys a lot. There's a number of, not just the agenda items, but even when it comes to 13A and 13A, and non-13A, appointments, and some of the other committees and formation of that, and just, different things that they're working on, trying to shift through, where we put a lot on them and expect that information like yesterday. Also realizing that in coming in and shared, I knew based on case precedent in law, where if there is any conflict, where and who the ultimate client is when there is a conflict. And so that didn't seem to be necessarily accepted, but I'm glad that there's been, case precedent that colleagues have been able to dig into and understand those dynamics. And so just want, to be able to have all of the information necessary for us to do the best job possible, and realizing that we need legal advice sometimes that's independent in certain ways, but it definitely collaborative with, because we're not trying to be in conflict anyway. We just want to make sure that we have the information that we need based on the number of issues that ourselves as commissioners tend to deal with. And so to your point, Commissioner Terry, 158 other counties in Georgia, we are the only form that has this form of government where there's that separation, and to have the support that we need, I think is helpful. So I appreciate Commissioner Longspears and Commissioner Terry for picking up the torch and saying that they thought it was a good idea for us to try this again. And so with that, I yield back to you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for your time.
Okay, great. Thank you. Commissioner Johnson, any other thoughts, comments?
I think my thoughts are, I know you two are probably, my fellow committee members are probably ready to move this forward today. This is new to me. It's new to me that, the process wasn't working. So you can do what you want, but I'm not ready to approve anything today. I have concerns on hearing, my fellow commissioners talking about the issue, but I don't see how, if the seven of us are overwhelming a team of county attorneys, how will we not overwhelm one attorney? I feel like it probably is an item that still needs a lot of work, and make sure that we're getting it right. I don't know that personally, I don't feel that I am there with this item yet, but I am one vote on the committee.
Commissioner Terry, I'm open to a 2-week deferral. That's acceptable.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm good with that. And maybe just, so let's be in the posture of deferring this for at least 2 weeks so we can have more thought and discussion on this, and certainly would entertain any other commissioners that aren't here to weigh in. In the meantime, County Attorney Linkus, could you, one thing that I had wanted to get information on is really just the status of the law department's filled and unfilled positions. So just we have a full stock of vacancies. It'd be good to have just sort of that salary comparison between other jurisdictions that are like ours, like Fulton, Gwinnett, Cobb, for instance, just so we have kind of a full understanding of the current capacity of the law department, maybe the intentionality and the strategy to fill positions that might be vacant, just so we have all of the information. And again, to me, this is not meant to usurp or, crowd anyone out. It's really just, I'd like to see the law department fully staffed, because I know even when we're fully staffed, I think when I first came on, it was mostly fully staffed. There always was more work to be done. It really never ends. But is that something that y'all could provide in the next 2 weeks?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, great. All right. And I'll maybe just point out one thing, just because we're going to talk about it a little bit later. So, sometimes the law department does seek outside counsel. This is something we're doing for another resolution we have coming up. So it isn't without precedent for the law department to say, we might have a conflict or we might have the expertise and we're going to get outside counsel. And so in some way, it's kind of like an outside counsel, but it's really, hopefully this is a way to actually streamline and make things sort of more efficient so that when big ideas come from the individual commissioners, there's a little bit of distilling of sort of the purpose and thought, and then by the time it gets to the law department, there's enough sort of forethought that actually, hopefully, things can kind of be about 2 or 3 steps ahead. And again, like that, it depends on the case and the issue. And, to me, at the end of the day, one of our main responsibilities is lawmaking. And lawmaking is policy making. Sometimes it's not simply just a legal question, it's literally a policy experience. So if we ultimately approve this, I would hope that we would find someone with legal experience and policy experience, because I think those are 2 things that really go hand in hand with what the Board of Commissioners is really needing. So with that, I'll, yeah, go ahead, Commissioner.
Thank you, Chair Terry. Also, committee members and Commissioner Messiah, and to our other commissioners that aren't present, I'm certainly open to any feedback that you have, and I'd be happy to provide a substitute with my 2 co-sponsors as needed at the next meeting. Thank you. I yield back.
Okay,
Thank you so
Commissioner
much.
Messiah.
I think it's a great point, Commissioner Terry, in terms of seeking outside assistance from other counsel. And listen, it'll make my job a little easier. That way when I'm seeing things, come across, I don't have to, poke at my colleagues and say, hey, we're going outside of, or I don't know if we should, and then legal having to then, take the charge. So I think it'll just make things easier, on everyone. And, to the vein, I appreciate a willingness to do an amendment. What I've done, and I think will be helpful if this may be the right direction to go in from our county attorney's office, is I have a job description from the, that was provided. DeKalb County was seeking an assistant county attorney. And so, of course, it has the salary range and minimum qualifications, required work experience, purpose and classifications, essential functions, and the like. But, just to, be able to share that with, legal as well, that maybe we can, weigh in and have some thoughts and making sure that we are going down the right vein, and for me to, sort of keep my commissioner hat on and not so much focus, as an attorney, but to get additional assistance as from an attorney, from a paralegal, from a law clerk. I just think it adds to where they already have, 48 clients now. It'll make it a little easier in just having 7. With that, I thank you so much, Mr. Chair, and yield back to you.
Okay. All right. Seeing no further discussion, I'll open the floor for a motion.
Motion to defer by 2 weeks, or for 2 weeks.
Second.
Okay, motion second. All in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Commissioner Terry,
Yes, go ahead.
just briefly, I have had an emergency and I do have to leave. So I will be trying, assuming I can get through, to call in using a Zoom. And once I get into my car and call in, I'll just voice that I'm present.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
We'll do the presentation next. That way you don't miss
Okay,
any
great.
votes.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Y'all have a good day.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. All right, so Commissioner Longspears will be calling in shortly. So let's just go ahead and go to the Tax Commissioner's office for the new senior homestead exemptions. Very excited to hear this. We get lots of emails, as I'm sure y'all do, about these issues. Welcome back.
Thank you.
You used to be with us, now you're with them. So,
Yes.
but go ahead and introduce yourself with everyone here.
So,
And Tax Commissioner Irvin Johnson, thank you. Fellow Commissioner, another Commissioner here. Commissioners.
so good afternoon. Thank you for having us. I am Terry Gordon. I'm the Assistant Tax Commissioner at the Tax Commissioner's Office, and I'm here with our well-esteemed Tax Commissioner Irving Johnson and Chief Deputy Nicole Golden. And we're here today to talk about good news. We have good news today. So we wanted to report back to you guys about the success of our 3 revised senior exemptions that the BOC blessed back in 2023. And we have a presentation So let's just give a little bit of background. Our homestead exemptions provide a reduction in annual property taxes and are available to individuals who own and occupy their homes within the county, including the City of Atlanta portion of DeKalb. I live in Decatur. They're also included. Special exemptions are available for eligible seniors age 62 and older, disabled residents, and disabled veterans. Applicants must own and occupy their home as of January 1, have all vehicles registered in DeKalb, and not have a homestead exemption elsewhere. The deadline to apply is April 1st. Applications received after April 1st will be processed for the following year. However, House Bill 92 from this year provided taxpayers with an additional 45-day window to apply. So we had 2 windows to apply this past year. So these are our exemptions that we have. The ones in green are the ones that were changed. The previous income was $15,000 for H6 and $16,000 for 7 and 8. So the 3 exemptions, we encourage everyone to come to our office during the application period to apply, particularly for our basic, but we encourage our more mature taxpayers to apply for all of our senior exemptions, because you can't just tell which one you'll apply for. So for instance, it says Georgia net income limit $10,000, but the information we provide to the public in our materials, the Georgia net income isn't as simple as just $10,000. It's the income requirement used for determination of eligibility is not a number found on your taxes. It's a formula provided by the Georgia Department of Revenue. So instead of saying, oh, because what happens is somebody will say, I make more than $10,000. Tell them to come to the office, tell them to apply, because that number isn't just $10,000. So that's one of the things we do. But also, with our new exemptions, we wanted to raise the income limits, which is what we proposed. So in 2023, we came up with this project, and Commissioner Johnson, our Commissioner Johnson, proposed 3 legislative items to the Board of Commissioners. And then we wanted to expand those income exemptions. They hadn't been changed since 1998. And once you guys approved, the DeKalb delegation approved, and it went to a referendum in November 7th, which it was overwhelmingly passed by the taxpayer, by the constituents. So we had House Bills 591, 593, and 594. And those changes went into effect January 1st. So since then, by 2025, we've had over 36,000 DeKalb residents aged 62 and older receive one of our 6 senior exemptions, an increase of almost 20% since the passage of the bills. The upward adjustment, as we were coming up with these adjustments, the people we wanted to focus on were the people who were particularly vulnerable to a tight housing market, rising property assessments, and I think the news was a little bit different now, so we wanted to have a solution for that. So that being said, our 3 exemptions from House Bills 591, 593, and 594, we grew exponentially in people applying and approval. So these are our approvals from 2023 through 2024 for our 3 revised exemptions. And here goes a chart of all of them, of how much we've grown from year over year. And what's so amazing is not only did our 3 that we proposed that had to have revisions, our other 3 exemptions, they also grew. So when people came in, they applied, and turns out they're eligible for even one of our other ones, our other senior exemptions that also provide reduction in their tax liability. So all of our senior exemptions, we went from 30,000 in 2023 to over 36,000 in 2025. And our next chart is each specific homestead exemption that we have. This one also includes our disabled vet and our disabled persons, and those exemptions and how they've gained since we've introduced the new legislative items. So this is all of our homestead exemptions. Of course, the majority of homeowners get a basic homestead exemption, and that basic homestead exemption offers an assessment exemption of $12,500 for school taxes and $10,000 for county levies, except for bonds. And there are no age or income requirements for our basic. So I am particularly proud of how did we get here, essentially, I'm particularly proud of our outreach efforts to ensure the public was aware of the adjustments to the 3 homestead exemptions. We did a lot of work behind this. We had on-site and virtual seminars. We attended HOA meetings. We visited our senior center. We go to Lou Walker, I think, every Tuesday, and we talk about our senior exemptions. People can apply there as well. We did advertising initiatives on the radio, television, newspaper outlets, and we also made it so seniors can apply online. I'm not so confident that my mom would be able to apply online, but we make it available for everyone, and we try to make the process easy to apply. So here goes some of our advertisements that we did. We do Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, we're in all of those, The Champion, Decatur-ish, On Common Ground, Rough Draft, Brookhaven Reporter, AJC. That's what these advertisements are for. So we've also, here we go, we sent out postcards in 2024 to let people know that we had these new exemptions. But I think here goes a picture from us attending doing a property tax seminar. Our social media, we're on Facebook, Twitter, those things. And also this year in particular, we did a focus mailing where we sent out a letter to over 30,000 new owners, homeowners over 62 without a senior exemption, and any properties that didn't have a freeze. So one of the things during the season, I got the opportunity to sit at the front desk while everybody else is scurrying around. I know Nicole answered the phones, and it's so nice to see somebody come in, one of our older folks who say, I got a letter in the mail. I want to apply. Well, sure, come on in. Did you bring your W-2s? Did you bring your Social Security 1099? We're here to help. So we wanted to make sure that if you wanted to apply, you had an opportunity to apply. So there's all different kinds of methods and ways you can reach and apply. So because of that, we've had an exponential increase of seniors applying for homestead exemptions and getting the tax breaks that they need, particularly those who are on a fixed income. So with that, do you have any questions?
Great, thank you so much. I believe we have Commissioner Long Spears who's joined us. Commissioner, are you there? I don't think I can hear her, but she says she's on the Zoom, so hopefully she can chime in, let us know when she's here. Commissioner Johnson, Shakira Johnson, excuse me.
Yeah, you gotta be specific
Right,
when
now you gotta
there's
be
two
specific.
Commissioner Johnsons in the room.
Go ahead.
just wanted to make sure I understood, for people who do apply for the exemptions, but they apply after April 1st, they're automatically reviewed and they don't need to reapply for the next year?
No.
Oh, that's good.
But in this year, because of House Bill 92, you could come back and apply after the assessment notice
Gotcha.
sent out. So we had 2 periods this year.
Okay.
2 periods this year. But yes, you come in, and then if you come after April 1st, generally, it would apply to the next year. We keep it in a folder, and then when the next year starts on January 1st, we just go ahead and process those.
That's good. That's really good to hear.
Yes, you can apply all year long, and you only need to apply once.
Okay.
I know it's different in Fulton. They had some issues. You have to apply every 2 years. Here with us, you only apply once.
That's really good to know, because people may forget to come back, and now they've lost their opportunity. So I'm grateful to hear that you guys do that automatically.
We did have a couple people come in saying, do I have my homestead exemption? And we look it up, and yep, you already applied. We got you. So your savings are on your bill.
That was my main question. Well, also for the senior centers, are you only visiting Lou Walker? How can I get you to East Central DeKalb?
Pay for more staff.
Bam. It's always down to the money, right? We'll work that out. Y'all are doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Before I turn over to Commissioner Patrick, I think Commissioner Longspears might be in listen mode, but I don't know. DCTV, do y'all have Commissioner Longspears? Okay, I think she's on. I got the thumbs up. Okay, well, just to follow up on that point, so the property tax seminars, and I know a couple years back I did a couple, and y'all, sent your staff, and it was very helpful for the people that attended them. So would you mind giving us a proposal on what it would take to do the tax workshops in person at all of the senior centers and or other locations, just whenever it makes sense throughout the year or, before, I guess, April 1st? Because I think that, to me, that's really important. I think there's some individuals that, like you said, don't want to go online, and just in person is probably a better opportunity to really kind of look at their details and figure out exactly what they need. But Commissioner Johnson, what do you think about that?
Yeah. We started out with the focus and the challenge of saying that a lot of people don't read their tax bills.
Yeah.
And they don't know when things are available to them in terms of applications. So what we decided to do was, Lou Walker was a test for us. And we've been there maybe over a year now. And so we're a part of the fabric of Lou Walker. So we're there every Tuesday, Wednesday, I think it is, all day. And we provide property tax service as well as motor vehicle. All right. And we take checks and we take payments there, but we don't take any cash. So that's the process that we developed at Lou Walker. And we're also at we're in North Central, Senior Center. We're over that way. And we do the same thing. We were looking at the other centers because of obviously the clientele, which are our seniors. So we decided that we were going to see that these two operations run pilot-wise and see how they go, and if they were well received, then we would look at some other places. We're trying to look at, I'm kind of jokingly ask about staff, but one of the things that we're trying to do is that in our non-peak payment seasons and when we're doing other things, that's when we look to allocate staff that we have trained to do the exterior work and to make sure they're able to do it professionally and courteously and thoroughly. So we look at using that as a developmental opportunity for some of our employees in-house who can do some other things when we're not taking payments and we're not in the busy processing season.
Absolutely. Well, I just want to applaud y'all for, working on this, back in 2023. I remember when you brought it up and you said, hey, this is folks been asking us about this, and I think everyone here was like, this is amazing, and thank you for, and I think everyone worked together to support the passage of the bills. And it might seem a little odd to be like, let's spend more tax money to help more people save on their taxes. But these are our seniors, and, we've been hearing a lot over the years about aging in place, and aging in place is a lot of different levels of complexity, but the number one thing is just financially being able to stay in your home. And a lot of that has to do with property values going up, right? I mean, at the end of the day, we set the rate. The rate is based on the value. And so to the extent that, individuals qualify, my hope is that we maximize. If everyone is eligible and we created these laws, y'all advocated for it, and we have all of these exemptions for a reason. We don't want anyone to miss out on it. It feels kind of heartbreaking sometimes when you think, oh, I could have saved thousands of dollars, and you think, wow, I could have spent that on groceries, the power bill, gas, everything that costs more these days. Or if you're You know, if I can think about my grandmother, you know, she'd take me to get some ice cream. So there's like lots of opportunities for, you know, just more freedom, you know, with those tax credits. But
To your point, it's kind of antithetical for the tax commissioner to be talking about reducing taxes for people. But the law provides for benefits for people and exemptions. And so our job is to make people aware that there are exemptions that they can get. We all know that taxes are a challenge for everybody, all right? But if you have exemptions that are legally available to you, and the only reason you don't have them is because you're not applying for them. So it's not like you're giving away something that's not available or that's untoward. You know, they have been created for you to take advantage of. And the fact that you don't know about them, we have decided that it's our job, part of our job, is to communicate that there's something available for you to take advantage of. You just need to apply. And then the process, whether you're disabled or you don't come to the door and those kinds of things, that becomes other challenges for us to try to address those. But the purpose is to try to make you aware that there's something for you to take.
yeah, and it looked like you had estimated it was 30,000 that might be eligible for one of these exemptions that aren't taking advantage of it.
What we did was, we discovered that in our database, and
Or
that
30,
we
36,000.
didn't have necessarily birthdays for all of the people eligible for exemptions. So once we discovered that, we went out and got some software that would allow us to start generating birthday information and going back on the old data and then being able to incorporate it in our new stuff. So that gave us the list of people who potentially didn't have some exemptions. It would be surprising to you guys to know that probably that we have people who've been in the house 20 and 30 years that didn't have a basic exemption. And so by us sending out those letters, we get the response. And therefore now we have people who are saying, okay, I didn't know I was even eligible for something. And then every year we're going to be sending out, because when we did the freeze initially you had to apply for when it came out.
Yeah.
Then the freeze was automatic if you applied for your basic.
Right.
Now we're sending letters to people who don't have the freeze, because we can look at the property tax parcel information and see who has it and who does not. Then we send them a letter saying, you're eligible for the freeze, you just have to come and apply for it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, that's great. I'm really glad that y'all are able to get that data merged, and it sounds like it's something you can update sort of on an ongoing basis.
Yeah, now that we have the software,
software.
we'll be doing it routinely.
Okay, Commissioner Patrick?
Just following up with what you had suggested, Mr. Chair, if there was a cost and a rotation to get you guys to come up, I know Dorville has their own senior luncheon. Of course, we've got the one in Chamblee. Tucker has their own engagements as well. Would love to be able to have you guys come out and talk.
We have been there to most of the centers, at least in the past, and based on their staffing and what they needed in terms of clientele and their turnover, and I guess the volume of seniors that they had, you weigh as to whether it's a benefit to go, because you don't want to be there for an 8-hour day and only talk to one person.
Right. I totally understood. And you mentioned sort of a down season. Would December, February, January be your down season?
After payment season, you know, basically we look at payment season, August, September, November. This part of the year is busy. And then after January, then it becomes a little lower, lighter season.
Understood. Understood. Well, please know that I think everyone is interested. Most definitely District 1 would be interested in partnering with you for that. So thank you very much.
We were on Morgan Street or Mason. What's the
Malone.
Malone. We were on Malone for a little while.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah.
Your second installment is due November 7th.
Oh, yeah, Commissioner Long Spears, go ahead.
Commissioner Terry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go right ahead.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes.
Oh, no, sir. I don't have any comments. That audio was working. Thank you, DCTV, for addressing that.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right.
I yield back.
Thank you. Okay, well, thank you for mentioning when you have the time to do these types of community workshops, because, you know, the nature of our flow is, we approved the budget March 1st. So what I'm trying to think in my head is if we approve some outreach thing March 1st, like in April, it looks like April 1st was a key deadline. I mean, is there something that y'all can start December, January, February that we could entertain in terms of a budget amendment so that there is that full outreach during that time when you have capacity, but you need to go places and do things?
Well, it's not that we're not doing some outreach, because we'll get HOAs, churches, and different places to invite us to come and do seminars. So just like the ones we've done with you,
Yep.
okay, we do those also with other places because they have reached out to us to go and do them. And even the air show, we're at the air show talking about this kind of thing. We're at Port of Sanford for various meetings. Some of you guys have district meetings, and we usually show up with a table, that kind of thing. So we're out in any different venues trying to communicate that information.
Okay. But in terms of like the workshop, so really like someone shows up, like, let's just say, for instance, hypothetically, we said we'd like to do one in every single district, between December and March or whatever. And here's what's going to take, and people come in with all their information, and they can get signed up right there.
Yeah.
What would that take?
Us getting together and setting it up.
Okay, all right. Well, that would be my recommendation, Commissioner Johnson, is if y'all could help us, or just propose, a plan to do that, because, what you're pointing out is just with some social media, some mailers, some, other advertisements, if we layer on phone calls and text messages on that and our own networks, I bet we could continue to increase that number.
Yeah.
Because it would be great to see 2026 go up. Because it seems like there's a lot of folks that are eligible who, again, we just haven't reached yet, right? We just haven't gotten their attention. But if we can all work together,
Yeah.
Then hopefully we can increase those numbers.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Commissioner Shakira Johnson.
Thank you. So in my district, we have a quarterly breakfast meeting, and we will have one in January, and I'd love to have you guys come out and be our speaker.
Okay, be glad to.
Okay, we'll coordinate, because we have a lot of seniors who come to those breakfast meetings. That's before the April 1st deadline, so it'd be a great time to connect with them.
We were participating with your predecessor.
Okay.
So we will continue that.
Yes, ma'am.
Johnson to Johnson.
Johnson
Nice.
and Johnson.
All right, don't confuse them.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. All right. Last thing I wanted to ask about was H9. Is H9 a school exemption? What is H9?
H9,
The 70+ one?
yes, is our 70 plus, and you're exempted from your school taxes. with that
Okay,
one.
just school taxes.
No,
All.
here we go. Here it is right here. Our H9, this is a total household limit of $110,568 of federal adjusted gross plus municipal bonds. It exempts the applicant from school taxes and maintains the exemption of $10,000 for county levies except bonds.
Gotcha.
Does it-
Okay. Okay, great. All right, wonderful. All right, well, Commissioner, seeing no other questions, I thank you all so much for presenting this data. Great work over the last couple of years to make this happen. I mean, really, really appreciate it. Let's keep the word out, going. So we'll look forward to hearing back from y'all, soon, hopefully, on kind of how y'all would like to roll that out to more of the locations around the county, and let's see how we can work together.
Look forward to it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank y'all
thank
so
you.
much. Okay, wonderful. All right, that was great. It was good to see that. All right, so Commissioner, we do have 3 more items. So let's take care of the lease one, which I think is pretty straightforward. This is item 1472, and approval of 1-year lease extension amendment to standard rental agreement dated December 1st, 2012, between DeKalb County Government and Sherrian's Real Estate LLC. This amendment extends the lease through December 31st, 2026, and increases the rental rate to $204,417.68 with an estimated utility cost of $27,000, totaling $231,417.68. So it looks like a $27,000 cost total, 27 totaling Okay, all right, well, Zach, so this is just standard extension?
It is,
With an
Mr.
increase.
Chair. The long and short is what we're looking to do is preserve our option to stay at 704 Sam Street. This is where the UCO and WorkSource is located. 704 Jordan Lane, I'm sorry.
Jordan Lane, yep.
774 Jordan Lane.
Yep.
But at the same time, we're looking for other locations because we really want to get out of lease space. But you know,
Okay.
if we're not able to find it, we need to have a place to continue operations. So that's why this is a one-year holdover status, essentially.
Okay, understood. Well, I hear Memorial Drive is available.
That's what we're thinking, or somewhere in and around there.
Okay, very good. All right, any comments, questions? Okay, I'll open the floor for a motion.
Yes, sir. I move to approve item 2025-1472.
All right, I'll second. All in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
Chair
Aye.
votes.
Aye.
Oh, sorry, Commissioner Spears, no. Okay, all pass. All right, 3-4 in favor of. Okay, next is item 1506. This is to approve a resolution to ensure that the county's judges receive the same benefits as the judges of the Superior Court of DeKalb Judicial Circuit, county employees, and judges in other counties. And maybe just because we were going to have a little bit more review on this, Judge Jacobs, you're here, so if you want to just speak briefly to this, high level. But the law department has requested for at least a 30-day deferral so they can bring in outside counsel to do their review. But thank you for joining us, and would love to hear from you.
Sure. Thank you, Commissioner Terry, and all the commissioners for having us today and for adding this item to the agenda. This is a resolution dealing with judicial benefits. It is a more limited version of something similar that was enacted for the Superior Court judges back in June. This more limited version, and I should also preface this by saying that we did some legwork in the time between when Chief Judge Anderson, and unfortunately Chief Judge Anderson is not able to be here today. She's out of town on a conference, but Chief Judge Anderson of the Magistrate Court and myself and sometimes Presiding Judge Story from Division B of the State Court met with commissioners individually about this resolution. In the time between then and now, we did, at the encouragement of Commissioner Terry, actually a significant amount of legwork, coordinating among all of the other classes of court other than Superior Court, because their resolution passed in June, to figure out which of this kind of smaller group of benefits made sense for which of the courts. And so the resolution you have in front of you is the result of those conversations. The three benefits that it focuses on, the resolution, are longevity pay, which is a benefit that was included in the Superior Court resolution. That benefit actually applies to everyone across the board. So that would be the 11 state court judges, the chief magistrate, and full-time and part-time magistrate judges, the juvenile court judges, and the probate judge. The second item is pension reimbursement. If you'll remember from the Superior Court resolution, there was a provision in there for reimbursement of their employee share of their Georgia Judicial Retirement System pension contributions. This actually is a benefit that at least one other county that I know of does provide to all of their judges, and that's DeKalb County. Of this group of judges that we're talking about now, all of whom are kind of classified as county level judges as compared to the Superior Court judges, only the state court judges participate in JRS like the Superior Court judges, but we have, with the language we have used here, endeavored to provide an identical benefit across the board, regardless of which pension system a judge participates in. So just to make it equal among all of the judges, regardless of the class of court that they come from. And the last is a $5,400 accountability court supplement that would go to the state court judges, to the chief magistrate, and to the full-time magistrate court judges. I do want to just make a quick comment on this item in particular. The state court judges have started meeting in earnest about adding a couple. We already have a DUI court program that has been with us for a long, long time. We also have a misdemeanor mental health diversion program out of magistrate court, which is a diversion program. But we are looking to add a couple of additional accountability court programs to they'd be post-conviction programs in the state court. One of them is to deal with what sometimes feels like, as a judge, some intractable issues pertaining to mental health and indigency in DeKalb County. You know, I on literally every jail calendar, I have a significant volume of defendants who are there on multiple criminal trespasses, just going back to the same location over and over again, and getting picked up and then housed in the DeKalb County Jail. Sometimes it's shoplifting, sometimes it's other offenses. But these are defendants that I see multiple times, so they are finding their way back into the criminal justice system. Oftentimes at their core, there is a mental health issue at play, where we could put in place a mental health, a post-conviction accountability court program where there would be direct judicial supervision of mental health treatment, which is similar to diversion, but not everybody is a good candidate for diversion, and that's why, you know, people find their way back into the system. So this is something that we're actively working on, that and also a domestic violence for repeat domestic violence offenders accountability program. So we're already meeting in and working on bringing in other stakeholders to get these programs off the ground. Hopefully it'll take, you know, it's not going to happen overnight. It will take the better part of a year to kind of get programs up and running, but we have an active committee of more than half of the state court judges working on this. It is a very important priority to us. So that, anyway, that is all the benefits. One thing I will just note generally, and I know that the county attorney is looking to get outside legal advice for the commission on this resolution. One thing I would just add to the mix is that for this particular group of judges, state court, magistrate court, juvenile court, and probate court, there are clear statutes that enable county supplementation of judicial compensation for every class of court here. The only wrinkle in that is for juvenile court. For juvenile court, their statute specifically provides that the superior court judges make the decision about their compensation, and then the county governing authority approves that. But we have included in this conversation the superior court judges. So the one benefit in here that is provided for the juvenile court judges is a benefit that the superior court has approved, and that's the longevity pay. So we have, in working through this resolution, done it with an eye toward what the legal landscape is, at least from a general law standpoint, with regard to judicial benefits, and going so far as to, for the one class of court that needs superior court approval, getting the approval of the superior court for that. And then the last thing I'll say on all of this is that we have worked very hard then to run the numbers for the commission. You have some cost amount. In fact, I think everyone has seen one version or another of this particular list of cost estimates. It has changed as we have added classes of court. But the final estimated cost of all of this is about $536,000. That's a fairly precise estimate of the annual cost of these benefits. We went through the effort of figuring out, exactly how long each judge has been serving and what their salary is and running the numbers and all of that. So for each of these benefits and each class of court, we got very granular in trying to get you the very best cost estimate we could.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much, Judge Jacobs, for that detailed explanation and walkthrough. Commissioner Johnson, any questions, comments?
Good afternoon, Judge. So along those lines of the detailed breakdown of the cost estimate, do you have a prorated cost estimate? So I know this is your annual expectation, but it looks like we're wanting to make this effective November 1st. So would there be those 2 months? Would this apply for those 2 months, or would it just be for 2026?
So this is an annualized estimate, so it literally would be if you're looking at 2 months,
Okay.
dividing the number by 6, and that's how much it would cost for the rest of the year.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Patrick?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Could you, when you have the numbers ready for some of those courts that you had mentioned for homeless in particular, as well as domestic violence, please share that as soon as possible. I'd love to be able to have a conversation up here at the BOC as well as with CEO on how we can perhaps move forward with that and really make some positive changes in the long term of those issues.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, Commissioner Patrick, for our next meeting, which is the meeting where we anticipate having additional stakeholders at the table, some of those stakeholders might be stakeholders that you would expect, the Solicitor General, the Public Defender, et cetera, the kind of inside the courthouse stakeholders. But we have specifically identified that we need to have someone from the county at the table as a part of our committee. So that, I would actually kind of respond to that question by encouraging the commission to give some thought to who that might be, because we will definitely need someone on the inside of the committee to help us deal with. I mean, obviously, accountability courts, it's not just a judge up there on the bench, it's mental health professionals, it is, our DUI court has a full staff. And we would need to staff the court, these accountability programs just like that. That's how they work. So, so we would need someone from the county to participate with us for sure. And, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do want to just recognize Commissioner Patrick because he's been leading on just the notion that we shouldn't be arresting people for being homeless, that we should be having diversionary programs. And I know we're trying to get that sort of fine-tuned so we can kind of pass it as a policy. It is interesting, the Trump administration has put out, apparently new guidance, and it looks like they might even be asking for new program estimates for 2026, which is sort of unprecedented, but it's sort of flipping the script on how we address homelessness. So it's a lot less money for just, permanent housing or really just transitional housing, just folks be in hotel rooms, and more towards treatment, whether drug addiction or mental health treatment. So in a way, what you're talking about, if that's something that can be up and running in 2026, it really would feed in great to what Commissioner Patrick's working on through DeKalb Police, what we have work going on with Claritel and the Crisis Center, and then certainly just diversion from the jail. And, there's layers to it. Diversion, but then, like you said, they come before your court. They haven't been diverted.
Nope.
They're there to, get a judgment. But it's what it sounds like by doing these accountability courts for, mental health, it will touch a piece of the homeless population that could hopefully lead to less recidivism and ultimately probably save us all a lot of time and money from that revolving door that you're mentioning.
It would be wonderful as a judge to turn some lives around rather than see them in court again.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Commissioner.
If there's also a way to find what are the dollar costs of sending someone through your court every time and they come back and they come back. If you can find out what that cost is, it'd be nice to be able to say, we know the fixed costs are this person comes X amount of times through the courts and the cost is this, versus if we try this other idea, the cost is, in theory, hopefully something less and more affordable for the taxpayer.
Absolutely. And I would suspect the biggest cost of all there is going to be would be housing them in the jail.
Absolutely correct, absolutely correct. And then I guess coordination with the sheriff's office to see what other information or insights she has on the process as it relates to going through the courts. Again, if there was a way that we could sort of break the cycle and come up with a path forward for people to get through where they're not always back on the streets and always back in the jail. Although I've heard there are people that rate the jails in the metro area for quality of food and length of stay, that's just saying. But we do want to find a way to keep them on a better path.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I think that's great. So we'll put the word out. I mean, every commissioner here, but anyone listening. Oh, and sorry, Commissioner Long Spears, are you there?
I am. Thank you, Commissioner Terry. I appreciate your presentation, Judge Jacobs. If I have any additional questions, I'll certainly go back and watch the video since I've been en route, and we'll certainly reach out to either you and or Judge Anderson. Again, thank you so much. Yield back.
Thank you. And I might suggest, just because you're talking about mental health, I mean, Claritel is the mental health provider, you know, and I think between Commissioner Long Spears' office and my office, we can coordinate you talking to Fabio and their team. I mean, they're already touching it in a way in terms of, like, if police can take them to the crisis center instead of jail, that in itself is a diversion program, but a narrow slice, right? There's a lot more layers to that. So yeah, we'd love to hear more about the accountability court programs. You know, it's Domestic Violence Month, so we had a presentation and proclamation here this morning. Those numbers are, I think it's like 25,000 a year, I think is what I read in terms of the police sort of estimates. I don't know how many, if that's actually how many come through your court, like literally every year. But so an accountability court for that seems to make a lot of sense because that's such a high number of individuals. And presumably it's, again, the goal here of the accountability courts is to just provide more flexibility, I think. It's post-conviction. Is that right? That's the general idea?
Accountability court is post-conviction.
Post-conviction, and the idea there is that some of the sentencing or the punishment gets reduced. Explain exactly kind of the mechanisms of why accountability courts.
So for domestic violence, there is a state-mandated domestic violence intervention program that is very expensive, somewhat inaccessible for some defendants in that regard, and yet yet mandated by statute. There is a provision in that statute, though, that allows a judge to make a finding that sending a defendant to the domestic violence intervention program is inappropriate under the circumstances. And it may be that we can be more effective on the ground within our court doing training and intervention and anger management, I mean, issues related to those domestic violence cases more effectively than just sending them off to a program that's used by all of the superior and state courts around the state. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, that's great. I mean, I think I applaud y'all for being, creative and using the law to create other pathways to, trying to fix very complicated issues. To Commissioner Patrick's point, like helping us understand how accountability courts, the existing ones and the proposed ones, could save time, energy, make efficiency, save money at the jail. Like those would be good, just estimates, I imagine, to articulate. So, think about that. And, if you can, before this comes back to the FAB committee, if you have any ideas of like what actually those cost factors are, I think that just helps give us more evidence on what we're trying to do here with the accountability court portion of the resolution.
All right.
Okay.
Commissioner Terry, may I provide one more comment?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you so much. Judge Jacobs, we have been engaged with an unhoused planning process now for several months. The consultant, her name is Carol. Would you be open to me putting you in touch with her? Perhaps there's an opportunity for you to present in front of this unhoused planning group. There are many, many stakeholders, probably could be up to 24 stakeholders that's part of this process. I think they'd like to really hear what you have to say.
Of course.
Okay, well,
Wonderful.
and I see Beth in the
Thank
back
you.
there nodding her head, so yeah, we'll be sure to follow up there. Okay, very
Thank
good.
you, Ms. Ganga. Yield back.
Thank you. Okay, great. All right, so Judge Jacobs, thank you so much for your presentation. Appreciate your
you.
time. And so I think what we'll do here is we want to defer this, get my little cheat sheet out here, to November, so Monday, November 10th looks like the next BOC that's about 30 days out. So,
Fire stop and FAB.
and we'll come back to FAB on, the 28th, actually. That's not really 30 days, so. Okay, so if we do November 18th, then that'll allow us to do FAB on November 10th. I'm assuming we're gonna, Jessica, are we doing FAB committee on Monday, November 10th? The 10th, okay. All right, does that work for you? Okay. All right, so County Attorney Linkus, what we'll do is we'll defer this to the November 18th BOC meeting, and then we'll plan to have it come back to FAB on Monday, November 10th. So that'll be a 30-day-ish window.
That sounds good.
Okay, great. All right, open the floor for motion.
Yes, sir. I move to defer item 1506 to the November 18th BOC meeting with the prior stop and FAB on November 10th.
Second.
All right, got a motion and a second from Commissioner
Second.
Long Spears. All in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
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 Chair votes aye, motion carries. Okay, all right, last item of the day is item 1508. This is a resolution requesting the administration implement water and wastewater service shutoff protections and pause all payment plans issued by the Finance Department during the interim period while the Urban League of Greater Atlanta is establishing the DeKalb Customer Advocates Office. And so I did introduce this item, so I'll hand the gavel metaphorically over to Commissioner Johnson. And if I can, I'll just give a brief statement.
Go ahead, Commissioner Terry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And so I did want to introduce this resolution, really designed to just make sure that we're sort of meeting the spirit and the intent of the last several resolutions that this board has passed. The administration has requested some time to review sort of the details of the resolution. There might be some things that are already being done, other things that I think we could just get some more information on, and then come back and just respond to those issues. At the end of the day, really the goal is to ensure that the most vulnerable individuals in our county aren't missing out on all of the things that we're trying to provide to make water and sewer bills more affordable, and ultimately at the end of the day not exceed the 4.5% of their income threshold. So, Mr. Williams, are you good with if we did November 10th?
Back in committee.
Back in committee, does that work?
I think that's fine. That's close to a 30-day. And
Okay.
Mr. Chair, because yes, a number of these things, as you indicated, I think we are addressing, and I appreciate the fact that you just reminded us all that our initial focus was those most vulnerable, in large part governed by income eligibility. So we'll be able to present a definitive document that shows what we are doing, hopefully clarify some things where there may be some confusion, but really lay out that this is how we're protecting the most vulnerable.
Okay, great. And then, Madam Chair, I think just kind of on a, so when we come back for this item, just in regards to sort of the data, if y'all could just, and maybe Urban League can present this, maybe Finance can also present, but just give us like the numbers on where we are with terms of how many customers have come to Urban League, and then, would love just to get a readout of like how many payment plans are in motion, how many have been sort of reversed, just a little bit more data so we understand kind of
Sure.
where things stand. I guess now we're about in our third month of the program.
Yeah, probably beginning or the second month of it being operational.
Okay.
But yes, we can provide the information in terms of how many applicants, how many people have been deemed eligible. That's one set of data, what Urban League is working on our behalf. And then the payment plans is a separate set of data that we're collecting in UCO, but we'll be able to provide that.
Okay. And I do, and something I know we've already talked about, but I just want to articulate it here because, I think when we were initially talking about the 4.5%, we were thinking about just the bill. but we have come to learn that people are paying their bill and a payment plan. And if that total amount is a lot more than 4.5%, in essence, we've made everything unaffordable. And I think the goal is that if you are low income, disabled, senior, and you just literally can't pay that higher bill and a payment plan, it sort of potentially puts it in that bucket of default and eventual cutoff. And so I would love for y'all to come back with, a little bit sort of more nuance of, well, how do we actually help people who have sort of these larger payment plans? What can we do to bring the monthly costs down? Are there some that go back years that, can be sort of, I don't know the word is, written off or, canceled? I know there's certain, statutes on that. And so.
Right. So there's a lot. But I appreciate the fact that you mentioned when we devised the water rate assistance program, and in the original resolution, we were looking forward because we were trying to mitigate the impact of the 10% rate increase. We've designed a program that does exactly that, and that's what we've been implementing. But after implementation, this has come to our attention that, well, there may be issues where people have payment plans that they've entered into or back bills that they need to address, that once you factor those in, it goes above the 4.5%. When we designed that, that wasn't how we were thinking, but we're looking at it. I don't know what the solution is as I stand here today, but we recognize that that is, a nuance that was not part of our design.
Yep, absolutely. And, look, we're kind of building this as we were flying it. So to the extent that we find some blind spots or some things that aren't exactly what we intended were going to happen, I think the goal here, and this is the part of this resolution and the other ones we've discussed, is let's just keep tweaking it and modifying it to make sure we're trying to get the most equitable outcome for the most residents. And then, Madam Chair, one other quick follow-up. So for the law department, just as it relates, because I think this is relevant to the payment plans, what is the status of just trying to figure out the statutory limit on past bills? Because I think that was kind of a big conversation about, well, if we've got bills that accrued, tens of thousands of dollars of debt going back 10 years, are we still trying to collect that? Does the state law allow us to collect it? I mean, at some point, is there a cutoff? And so that's just, that really just would help inform, I think, our conversations around how we're trying to tweak these policies. Because if some of these payment plans, if a portion of them are past that statutory limit, should they legally be paying it? So I'm looking at Attorney Lincoln, if he could respond.
Right.
Yeah, obviously, we've done some analysis in that area, and we should be able to include that in our analysis that we provide to you guys. I think he said we'd come back in 30 days.
Okay, so if we came back on the 10th, we could talk about this resolution and the other sort of legal parameters of debt collection or state law and what your report.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, all right, very good. All right, Madam Chair, I'll yield back. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to, two things I also had. I do appreciate that we recognize that as much work went into creating these protections and creating the resolutions, that they're not perfected and that they're still work in progress. And when we are seeing issues arise, that we're willing to pivot, adjust, and address them. So I do appreciate that. With the request to get some reporting back from Urban League, COO Williams, are we expecting, and I may have just forgotten this, to get quarterly reports and updates here at FAB on how the process is going?
We certainly can. We have not scheduled those as of yet, but I think if we started in November, that'd get us pretty close to, the first quarterly report.
I think that would be helpful.
We do November, February, yeah, we can do that.
Okay. Commissioner Patrick, did you have anything?
No questions right now. I am curious to see the data when it comes out.
Commissioner Long Spears, are you still with us?
Yes, ma'am, no questions.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I will motion to defer this to the November 18th BOC meeting with a stop at FAB on November 10th.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That is unanimous. I will pass the gavel back for the last motion.
Great, thank you. All right, and that exhausts our agenda. Yes, that is it. So I'll open the floor for a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
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 Chair votes aye, motion carries. All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you all so much.